Okay, here is the reading vlog for the next book in the series, The White Queen. And this is the second book in the Plantagenet and Tudor novels. And before I get started, I want to say two things. The first is there will be spoilers. I know in the last one I said, oh, there might be spoilers. No. I've come to find out by doing these reading vlogs that there will be spoilers. So there's going to be spoilers. So if you have not read any of these books, read them and then come back to this video. And also, I found her new book, The Boleyn Traitor, and I am not really sure what I want to do with it because it is technically part of the series, but it's also its own standalone novel, similar to that book, The Wise Woman, that she wrote. It same time period, but different. It's its standalone novel as well. So I'm not really sure what I want to do with it. Maybe I will make it its own book review. Maybe I will put it at the end of the series. If you have any ideas, please let me know. Or maybe I could also make it its own reading vlog because this is one I've never read before. So yeah, that would be good. And so now that we got all that out of the way, let's start this reading vlog. Okay, so I'm not too far into the book, and the book starts off with Elizabeth Woodville petitioning King Edward IV to give her her widow's lands, and King Edward IV falls just head over heels, almost like a lust thing for Elizabeth Woodville, and makes her his queen. And a lot of, probably most of the advisors to the king do not like that because, for example, Earl Warwick wanted Edward IV to marry uh, Princess Bona of France, and then his mother also doesn't like her. And I've noticed a few themes in, well, first, this series of Philippa Gregory. In this series, there seems to be a lot of mother in laws from hell. In this book, Elizabeth Woodville has a mother in law from hell. In The White Princess, Elizabeth of York has a mother in law from hell. Um, so it's a really big theme in this series for some strange reason, and in the television series that these are based on. And a theme in this book itself, I think in the first two books especially, but this book is the second book, is the theme of witchcraft. And again, Elizabeth Woodville is the daughter of Jacquetta of Luxembourg, who is the descendant of Melusina, the water goddess. And so there are a lot of witchcraft and them doing witchcraft. And I love witchcraft. I just love New Age stores and witchy stores and things like that. And I like it. And a lot of people did not like this, but I didn't mind it as much because this is written in the third person in the 1400s, and in this time, until fairly recently, more recent than you would think, people were accused of witchcraft. They believed it was real. They believed it was real. You could get killed for it. And especially in this time, it was very real. And people believed it was real just like they believed, God was real. And so I didn't mind that as much as other people did. But now I'm at the part they have sent away King Edward IV's sister to marry the Duke of Burgundy, and she will be a player in, especially in the White Princess series, and she is sent away to marry Charles the Bold. So that is where I am right now, and I will keep you updated on more of the book. Okay, so I have a little under 9 hours left, and I am at the point in the story where, after 5 years of marriage, they finally have a son who they name Edward, and the whole country has broken out into civil war again because Warwick is upset with Edward IV and goes back to Margaret of Anjou, the Lancaster Queen, and marries his daughter off to her son, and so the war has continued again after a few years of peace, and there are still a lot of witchcraft things in there. There is a wind that rustles up, and in this novel, it is shown that Jacquetta and Elizabeth have rustled up this witch's wind. And I really liked this. I didn't mind it as much as other people. Again, I'll keep saying that. And it is very good. And we are at a kind of a cool point in the story right now with the birth, finally, a birth of a male heir to continue the York line. So that is really, really exciting for Elizabeth and Edward. Okay, so I did finish the book, and a lot happened in about 3/4 of the book. George, Duke of Clarence, dies because he's trying to rebel against his brother, Edward IV, and then Edward IV dies due to a fishing trip, and then Edward V, his son, is supposed to take the throne, but then it's usurped by Richard III. And while all this craziness, some of this craziness is going on, uh, Elizabeth Woodville goes with her daughters and her son into sanctuary in the abbey, and then she sends her son Richard, Duke of York, away in order to take his place as king later, which didn't really happen. This part is all fictional. And so, yeah, I think that Richard III killed Edward and Richard in the tower, the princes in the tower. And, so, yeah, some people don't like that, but I think that's what happened. A lot of historians think that's what happened, but this book makes it sound like something different. And when I first finished this book, I was kind of excited about what was going to happen to this fictional Duke of York, because you don't know until a few books in what happens to this particular fake. I'm going to call it the fake Duke of York because this never really happened in history. But you have to wait a few. You have to wait a few books to figure out what happens to him. But I remember just listening to this audiobook and being excited to know, hey, what happens to Duke of York? So that was exciting. And this book, the other Boleyn Girl and this particular book, The White Queen, really got me into historical fiction, so I really like Philippa Gregory for that. But in my opinion, after someone that has read a lot more historical fiction by different authors, I think there are better ones that you could read out there. But this is a good starting point for something that you want to read, and I listened to something by Royal History Geeks, and he talks about these particular series and books and movie series by Philippa Gregory. He looks at these series like he is watching Spider-Man, for example. Like Spider-Man, New York is a real place. Um, the places that you're seeing in New York are real, but Spider-Man is not real. So it's the same thing, kind of the same thing. And I am going to take a break from this series, and probably right now I'm listening to the book Marriage and Family in the Middle Ages, and maybe either read that or maybe read the Lives and Deaths of the Princesses of Hesse, which I did read and I need to review. And I'm going to do, I did the Lady of the Rivers and the White Queen, and then I'm going to take a little bit of a break and then read Red Queen, and then the Kingmaker's Daughter, and then take another little bit of a break and read another audiobook that's not in the series, and then on and on and on until we finish all 16 books. And I will, since I started this particular reading vlog, the Boleyn Traitor is part of the series. It is on Philippa Gregory's website as part of the series. So I will be reading that as well. And that will be completely exciting because I've never read it. It just came out in 2025, so that is exciting. So I will see you all in the next video, and thank you so much. I love revisiting this series with you. I will see you on the next video. Bye, guys.